Hello, this is Troy, and I'm going to do a quick introduction to Easy AVR. Once you get your screen open here, you will select a layout, either by starting a new default layout, by selecting a board that you're using. In my case, we're going to use a Plico. And we have a generic board with nothing going on here. So, first thing we're going to want to do is set up a function layer. And in this case, I like that left space to be a function layer. So, by selecting a key, I can either press a button and cause it to be something else. That is the quickest and easiest way to set regular key codes for these. But if you need to set one of the more advanced ones, such as this is my left thumb, that's where it rests on the space. We're going to set this to the first function layer, which is currently blank. So scroll down to the bottom here, near the bottom, and we see these FN scan codes. FN, the first function layer, is this one right here. So when I press that, it's going to switch to this layer. And right now it's when I hold it down, but if you want to change the mode, you can change it to a toggle mode, which means when I tap it, it'll switch to function layer, and then when I tap it again, it'll switch off. Another alternate, let's do tap keys. Well, the first thing you should probably do on all of your board layouts is get rid of caps lock, which in this case is not here, but it's to the left of your A key, and it really shouldn't be caps lock ever, because seriously, caps lock, prime real estate. Anyways, we will change this to a control key by tapping it and pressing control. Ta-da! Tap keys. Let me get that for you. There we go. So I used the tap key, so when I pressed it, it was control, and when I released it, it was escape. So that is the key we're setting to a tap key. And once we tap it, we want it to be an escape. And that is right here. And let me just double check that real quick. I don't want to tell you wrong here. Yep, that's right. When I press this, this is my actual Plico layout. So this left control to the left of A is a tap key, and that means that when I hold it down, it's a control, or when I press it and then press another key, it's control. But when I press and release it, it becomes escape. Pretty neat. So when this function key, however, has a shift on it, which is wrong. I forgot to save that. Yeah, that's also interesting. When you save stuff, you save a layout, and then you build a firmware. And those are two different things. Saving a layout just means saving data into Easy AVR firmware key mapper software, so that you can open it back up later and have the same layout set up. And the firmware is the actual ones and zeros that you load onto the keyboard. So this is how we set keys, very simple. But once we want to get a little bit more fancy, we press this I don't know if I messed with this earlier. Is this exciting? It's very exciting. I'm 4 minutes into this. Very exciting. Anyways, you press the function key, and when you hold it down, the layering switches to this layer, which has, your Vim keys, pretty standard, left, down, up, right, some volume up and down, play, pause, mute. These guys don't seem to make sense until you realize that this guy's checked. So when I'm holding down that function key, which somehow turns into space on this layer. Don't ask me how that works. It doesn't actually make a space when I release it. But when I hold down this and press Z, it comes up as Control Z. Now I've got two tabs here. Same thing. This is an Alt tab. So this is the combination of Alt and Tab. It's a quick switch for between two windows. So it's not a full Alt tab where I get to flip through whichever ones are available. That one's just a regular tab. This is Control L, which gets you to URL bars as a standard across a number of browsers. Here's where your app key is hidden. This is actually where I like my Enter key. Don't judge me, though. And then these here, this is a tab with a Shift and Control, and this is just a tab with a Control, which is great for swapping between tabs, actually, in browsers. So you can tab left and right on your browser very easily. It's just a lot easier than holding down Shift and Control and then hitting Tab with one hand while you get carpal tunnel very slowly, very quickly. Over here, we've got well, let's do this first. This is function layer 4, and this one is listed as a toggle, and this one is listed as a normal. So when I'm holding down this button, this function button, with my thumb, this W key becomes a function layer 4, so I hold down thumb and W, and once I do that, it switches to layer 4, which is these guys. So this is primarily, the temporary one is primarily for mousing. When I hold down that W, I can use HJKL to move my mouse around and my pinky to click a mouse button 1. There's also some boot mode, console, and some other useful things in there. This is primarily for being right-handed and using the mouse. Now when my hand is actually on the mouse, then I'm only having my left hand on the keyboard. So I do function, and then this function 4, which is a toggle, which means when I tap it, it switches to layer 4 and locks. So then I can release my hand and it'll still be on layer 4 until I tap this button again, and it'll untoggle. So from here, I can mouse with my right hand, right, left with the left hand, whatever. And then with my other hand, I've got WAS, basic or arrow keys under my fingers, and page up, page down, page tabbing, browser tab left and right, backspace, delete, and all the copies and everything, so that I don't have to pick up my hand from one side and reach it to the other to press a key that I usually press when I'm using a mouse. So that gives us toggling, locking layers, that shows us how to switch layers. To set these function layers, they're down near the bottom, down here. And then there's some macros too. And the macros are great because they are so well documented. So I've got M4 and M5 here, and those are just scan codes. M4, M5. I'll just select it from this nice little draggy menu. But M4 and M5 are, this one is a control. Oh yeah, this is Control Bravo followed by an L, which I believe is a TMUX shortcut for last screen or window or whatever they call those sessions, I don't know. And then M5 is Control B followed by Control O. And these macros are all very well explained under Help on Writing Macros. It's surprising, I know. Free software that actually has quality documentation. So this has some of the special characters and things like that, and some of the syntax. It's very easy. That's a Control Delete. This is you typing out your hello world in all caps, and even alt codes. So these weights also become pretty important, because if you're doing stuff like alt tabbing or flipping between window, or even like browsers that run JavaScript, they don't catch all the keystrokes because your keyboard will be able to record. So let's show that real quick. Macro play, which is MRAM play, and then on function layer 2, it's macro record. So you can hold down function layer 2 and then press macro record, and then type in whatever keystrokes you want, I guess we can do this right here real quick and mess with this. Hopefully not break it. This is the Plico. It's easy to get lost sometimes. There. I can go ASDF. Ta-da. And hit it again. Micro record one more time. You can't see it when I point at the screen. And now when I hit macro play, which is here, it is. So your keyboard has the power to record that stuff up to, I don't know, a quantity of keystrokes. But it plays them back as fast as, well, as fast as USB can send it. So when that happens, you will be making use of these wait commands, these wait values. You'll be dropping these into your macros to allow the OS to catch up. Now on things that are very dedicated and quick, like Excel or something like that, it's going to catch all your keystrokes, no matter what. You're fine. But anything else, you're probably going to want to mess around with it and get some waits in there. I don't think I have any fancy macros. I think I cleaned those out after I got out of that other job. But once you get that macro locked in, that's it. It's there. You know, it's good. Okay, so it's macros, keystrokes. Oh, make sure that you get a Control-Alt-Delete key. That's just delete with a Control and an Alt. You'll have to press it at some point, and you'll be like, where on earth are those keys, and how do I press them with all these layers going on right now? So learn from my mistakes here. This is a number pad layer, and this has all my function keys on it. But also, these look the same, but they're not, because we've got Shift. So the bottom layer, the layer that's under your fingers, is actually the exclamation, @ hashtag, $, and this is 54321. It's pretty good. It's not excellent. I have problems with these keys, and sometimes these keys, but I found this layer 5, this numpad layer, to be way better. So I'd highly recommend something like that. And then back on the default ranch, Meanwhile, back at the default layer, this F5, function 5, if you press this one with your, like right here on your pinky, on a Plico or on a 40%, you're just kind of grazing that key down there. That'll get you to here, where you can use your right hand to suddenly have a numpad. So this is question and slash with no shift, which means it's just a slash for division. This one's an 8 with the asterisk with a shift, so it's just multiply. And then some other keys. So this was super useful and helpful. And got a few minutes left. Really quick. Special config setting. I really don't want to do that. Password generator is super cool. You can read all about it. I haven't messed around with it, so I won't get into it, because I can't tell you anything about it. LED configurations. The other video I made talks about those LEDs, how to assign them. You can set it so green, FN3 active makes the green show up, and I scroll and screw it up. And you can even make the teensy blink. These are all the LEDs at your disposal, and you can use them for layering and stuff. Pretty cool. To add your own board, let's see, you would drop your files into here, which is whatever your user directory is, easy AVR, boards, and something like this. And it'll look something like this, which is where the other video picked up. So, I hope that's a quick enough introduction. I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to kill another 30 seconds while I try to remember what it is I forgot. So once you get something saved, you will build the firmware, save it as a hex file, load up your teensy loader, and use the file here. Ta-da! seriously out of time. I'll just look pretty.